On May 15, 2026, something in deep space reached across 90 million kilometers and physically moved the International Space Station without touching it. There was no explosion, no physical impact, and no visible force. It was simply a silent shift in orbit that left NASA scientists staring at their screens in complete disbelief. According to data collected by multiple global space agencies, this single event may be the definitive sign that humanity is no longer alone in the universe. Inside NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, the night shift began as routine. Flight controller Marcus Hale sat monitoring the station as it traveled around Earth at nearly 28,000 kilometers per hour. Everything looked entirely normal, following the same stable orbital pattern it had maintained for years, until every alarm in mission control went off simultaneously. Engineers initially assumed it was a massive system error, but panic quickly spread across the room as telemetry revealed the station's altitude was rising rapidly without any thrusters firing. Marcus checked the gyroscope readings repeatedly, hoping the sensors were malfunctioning, but they were perfectly accurate. A localized gravitational field had surrounded the station, completely defying known physics. A distant object, designated 3I Atlas, had somehow pushed the massive structure upward by exactly 3.44 kilometers with impossible precision. This movement was far from random. The station suffered zero structural damage. Its solar arrays remained completely intact, and stress levels stayed within safe operational limits. Even more disturbing, a secondary force appeared briefly around the station immediately after the orbital shift, perfectly stabilizing its movement to prevent an uncontrolled spin. Something had deliberately moved humanity's largest space laboratory and carefully caught it before anything went wrong. Within minutes, NASA contacted the European Space Agency and global observatories, which quickly confirmed the exact same conclusion. The force originated from 3I Atlas, a mysterious interstellar object traveling through our solar system. Just 2 days earlier, NASA's Deep Space Network antenna in Australia had detected a focused gravitational pulse aimed directly toward Earth. The James Webb Space Telescope recorded the object's surface temperature jumping from 35 Kelvin to over 400 Kelvin in less than 2 seconds, an event with a near-zero probability of occurring through natural solar heating. Shortly after, Hubble detected the object changing its rotational axis by more than 4 degrees without ejecting any gas, dust, or exhaust. Then came the transmission. Exactly 12 hours before the space station was displaced, deep space monitors detected a repeating signal from 3I Atlas at 1.42 gigahertz, the exact hydrogen frequency recognized as a universal communication channel. The pulses repeated every 23.4 seconds with mathematical precision, targeted directly toward the future orbital position of the space station. At 4:12 UTC, the gravitational wave struck, smoothly moving the station into a higher orbit while a dampening field stabilized the entire structure. Something from deep space had manipulated gravity like a simple tool, reaching across millions of kilometers to move a 420-ton structure with surgical precision while protecting human life in the process. NASA immediately initiated emergency response procedures. The European Space Agency suspended normal operations, and deep space network feeds were placed under temporary blackout protocols. Once the station stabilized, 3I Atlas transmitted a second signal directly toward Earth. Analysts instantly recognized the underlying structure as the Arecibo message, the exact signal humanity broadcast into space in 1974. However, this returned version had been modified. The primary mathematical framework remained identical, but the DNA section was completely rewritten with 3 precise genetic alterations. Researchers identified these modifications as directly relating to human intelligence, neural adaptation, and pattern recognition. The message was unmistakable in its intent. Humanity's broadcast had been received, and an advanced intelligence was now providing a framework for how our species must evolve. The realization that the transmission from 3I Atlas was a modified version of the Arecibo message completely transformed the atmosphere inside NASA. The event was no longer treated as an unexplained astronomical anomaly. as global agencies quietly acknowledged they were dealing with an intelligence operating far beyond human capabilities. What alarmed researchers most was a hidden layer buried beneath the surface of the primary signal. As the transmission repeated across global deep space receivers, analysts discovered complex mathematical consistency built entirely around prime numbers and Fibonacci sequences hidden inside the radio wave structure. Advanced AI systems confirmed the message had been encrypted intentionally, functioning as a deliberate test designed to be solved. NASA, the European Space Agency, and independent observatories worked continuously for 18 hours to crack the cipher, revealing that the transmission adapted itself based on how quickly Earth's computers processed the data. The moment the cipher was cracked, 3i Atlas responded instantly at 8:47 UTC on May 9th by transmitting a short confirmation pulse back toward Earth. The message contained only the value of pi calculated to 215 decimal places, a universal mathematical constant acting as an unambiguous communication bridge. Scientists stopped debating whether the object was artificial and began focusing on why this entity was communicating now. Genetic specialists analyzing the altered DNA sequence concluded that the three modified strands targeted cognitive growth, neuroplasticity, memory processing, and pattern recognition. The message strongly implied that humanity needed to evolve intellectually to prepare for an impending event that our current development level could not withstand. Shortly after sending the confirmation pulse, 3i Atlas accelerated sharply away from the inner solar system without utilizing conventional propulsion, gas release, or thermal exhaust. Measurements indicated it would leave the solar system entirely within 2 weeks, but before departing, it transmitted one final encrypted data package. Partially decoded leaks from multiple sources revealed that the transmission contained exact stellar coordinates pointing directly toward Alpha Centauri, along with calculations suggesting an arrival window between 18 and 24 months. Panic spread rapidly through top-level government circles, sparking emergency briefings between space agencies, military command centers, and international leaders, alongside immediate budget increases for orbital defense research. Researchers realized that 3i Atlas had shown extraordinary restraint, moving the space station with extreme delicacy, stabilizing its orbit, and transmitting vital information rather than threats. This behavior suggested the object was an automated probe evaluating humanity's readiness for interstellar contact. However, the final section of the transmission contained the most mysterious element: specific geographic coordinates on Earth pointing directly to Egypt's Giza Plateau. Theories erupted across the scientific community, noting that the Great Pyramids sit on unusual tectonic and electromagnetic alignment zones. While governments maintained public silence, high-level preparations around the site began immediately as tracking systems observed strange gravitational lensing effects surrounding 3i Atlas as it departed, suggesting it was manipulating dark matter fields to manipulate space-time itself. As governments quietly expanded surveillance around the Giza Plateau, scientists began examining whether the coordinates marked a location tied to something far older than modern human history. Research teams reevaluated decades of seismic, gravitational, and electromagnetic data collected around the pyramids that had previously been dismissed as instrumental errors. A classified study from the European Space Agency revealed unusual underground gravitational fluctuations recorded beneath the plateau as far back as 2012, which matched the exact resonance frequencies detected on 3i Atlas during the space station incident. Meanwhile, spectroscopic analysis from the James Webb Space Telescope detected exotic energy signatures around the departing object, consistent with theoretical higher dimensional field interactions. These findings suggested that 3i Atlas was not traveling using conventional engines, but was instead navigating hidden gravitational structures woven directly into the fabric of spacetime. Dark matter mapping from the Vera Rubin Observatory confirmed the object carried a surrounding halo of dense gravitational material nearly 10,000 times stronger than normal galactic concentrations. Physicists compared this mechanism to a macro-scale Meissner effect, where the object reshaped local spacetime by manipulating surrounding dark matter. Far from being a natural comet, 3i Atlas was a machine performing gravitational engineering on an unprecedented scale. The transmission held even deeper complications, as hidden encrypted layers referenced 40 inactive satellites drifting in Earth orbit. Over the following 48 hours, global tracking networks observed these abandoned pieces of space debris, synchronizing their orbital timing with the outgoing pulses from 3I Atlas. Minor energy fluctuations appeared between the dead satellites, indicating they had been temporarily repurposed into a distributed quantum processing network. This improvised global computer had spent its operational window collecting, filtering, and analyzing every communication broadcast, military signal, and scientific transmission ever broadcast from Earth. This massive data collection effort resembled a comprehensive process of preservation. Classified discussions frequently referenced the holographic principle, proposing that 3I Atlas was encoding the complete information of human civilization directly into the structural fabric of space-time. This theory gained significant weight after deep underground neutrino detectors in Europe recorded a massive pulse of high-energy particles shortly after the object accelerated away. The pulse carried structured mathematical data containing a detailed compilation of humanity's genetic and historical blueprint, effectively archiving Earth rather than attempting to conquer or destroy it. Inside classified emergency meetings, military officials pushed for immediate worst-case scenario planning, but many leading scientists argued that the object's behavior demonstrated zero hostility. It had actively protected the International Space Station from damage, communicated through universal mathematical constants, and provided biological guidance rather than destructive threats. This evidence suggested the transmission was not a warning of impending annihilation, but a structured preparation for eventual contact. However, experts remain deeply unsettled by one fundamental question. Why did this advanced intelligence choose this specific moment to reveal it to humanity? Many researchers believe the answer directly correlates with Earth's recent technological explosion. The rapid convergence of artificial intelligence, quantum computing, deep space observation networks, and global digital communications may have pushed humanity across a critical technological threshold. For the first time in history, our species possessed the computational capacity required to detect, decrypt, and understand the message. In essence, 3I Atlas may have been lingering silently in the solar system for millennia, waiting for human technology to reach a point where meaningful communication became possible. Meanwhile, 3I Atlas continued its rapid trajectory toward interstellar space, leaving behind profound visual distortions captured by global observatories. Massive Einstein ring effects caused by extreme gravitational curvature appeared around the object, which theoretical physicists identified as localized space-time folding. The probe appeared to be slipping out of our physical dimension entirely. Right before the signal faded permanently, one final transmission emerged from the encrypted stream, translating consistently across every military and civilian AI system into a single phrase: synchronization in progress. This brief message triggered immediate alarm across NASA, the European Space Agency, and international defense commands. Researchers concluded that the arrival of 3I Atlas was not an isolated event, but a single phase within a vast, pre-existing cosmic process that humanity had now formally entered. As the object moved deeper into the outer solar system, persistent environmental anomalies lingered along its path. Fluctuations in local gravity, electromagnetic interference, and unexplained subatomic particle activity continued to register across global monitoring networks long after the physical probe had passed. The ongoing investigation took another dramatic leap when deep underground particle detectors in Italy, Japan, and Antarctica began recording synchronized neutrino bursts originating from the direction of Alpha Centauri. While neutrinos normally pass through solid matter completely undisturbed, these incoming bursts contained rigid structural timing patterns that matched the mathematical pulses transmitted by 3I Atlas. The signal was actively continuing from a distant source, and monitoring stations confirmed the transmissions were growing progressively stronger over time. Analyzing this data led scientists to conclude that 3I Atlas was not a lone exploratory craft, but an automated node within a vast interstellar network spanning light years. Its primary function appeared to be locating developing technological civilizations, evaluating their technical maturity, and initiating structured preparation protocols. However, the exact nature of what humanity was being prepared for remained deeply uncertain, creating immense tension within the scientific community. That uncertainty intensified when additional leaked details from the final transmission surfaced online, detailing an arrival event expected within 18 to 24 months. The leaks emphasized that the incoming event was an encounter rather than a military invasion, with the visiting entities planning to manifest specifically at the Giza Plateau rather than over major political capitals. Archaeologists, physicists, and geologists were rapidly assembled under classified government contracts to conduct intensive satellite radar sweeps and deep seismic surveys beneath the ancient monument. These surveys revealed remarkable subsurface anomalies beneath Giza, including subterranean cavities forming precise geometric shapes that were impossible to attribute to natural geological erosion. These structures aligned perfectly with electromagnetic resonance zones linked to Earth's magnetic field, displaying signature frequencies identical to those recorded around 3I Atlas. Researchers theorized that the pyramids were constructed over a natural gravitational focal point where Earth's tectonic and electromagnetic energies intersect, functioning as a massive planetary receiver designed to amplify and stabilize high-energy space-time interactions. The realization that Giza functions as an active space-time receiver transformed the situation from a theoretical scientific study into an urgent global security priority. Governments quietly deployed military forces around key historical zones while maintaining strict public denials regarding any unusual activity. Simultaneously, further classified leaks revealed that 3I Atlas had transmitted extensive environmental data sets back into deep space, including precise models of Earth's atmospheric chemistry, global radiation thresholds, human population densities, and magnetic field behavior. The probe was not surveying Earth as a military target, but was systematically analyzing the planet with the precision of an engineer preparing a landing site. Adding to the mystery, several of the 40 inactive satellites briefly hijacked during the event continued to emit weak residual energy pulses. Though no longer fully operational, these abandoned satellites remain synchronized in ways that defy conventional orbital mechanics, passing low-frequency energy bursts between one another like a persistent electronic heartbeat. Scientists remain divided on whether these orbital assets were permanently re-engineered by the probe or if they are sitting in a dormant state waiting for an incoming activation signal. Furthermore, a joint analysis conducted by NASA and the Vera Rubin Observatory confirmed that significant dark matter distortions remain suspended in Earth's upper orbit weeks after the object's departure. Theoretical physicists determined these persistent spatial warps are the structural aftereffects of extreme space-time manipulation, suggesting a temporary gateway had been opened near our planet. Within top-level scientific briefings, researchers frequently cite the concept of dimensional synchronization, acknowledging that highly advanced civilizations likely bypass conventional physical travel entirely by navigating through higher dimensional structures embedded directly within space-time. All available evidence confirms that 3I Atlas was an automated messenger that successfully archived humanity's existence and initiated our initiation into a broader cosmic reality. The countdown toward the predicted 18 to 24-month arrival window has officially begun, and the infrastructure of our world is already shifting to accommodate what comes next. If you want to stay updated on this unfolding mystery and explore more deep space discoveries, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update.